What if your entire fortune depends on one person and your own family drove them away? Obiora was a poor wheelbarrow pusher until a mysterious woman named Ife came into his life. Suddenly, money flowed like water, cars appeared, businesses boomed. But when his mother and his sister did the unthinkable, everything vanished overnight. This African folktale will leave you breathless and teach you a lesson about greed that will change the way you see family forever. Watch till the end. The twist will shock you. In the busy city of Aba, where the market was lively and the air filled with the scent of mangoes and fresh vegetables, lived a young man named Obiora. Obiora possessed remarkable strength, and his arms were hardened by years of diligent labor. Each morning before dawn, he will awaken, secure his wrapper around his waist, and proceed to the Ore market with his old worn-out wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow was his only treasure, rusted at the edges, with one wobbly wheel that squeaked as he pushed it through the dusty streets. But to Obiora, it was his key to survival. He carried sacks of yams, baskets of tomatoes, and bundles of plantains for traders, earning just enough coin to buy garri and soup for himself, his two sisters Nkechi and Adanna, and his frail grey-haired mother Mamobi. Life was not easy. They lived in a tiny room behind Mama Ngozi's food store, where the roof leaked when it rained and the wind whistled through the cracks in the mud walls. At night, they all squeezed onto one mat, their stomachs sometimes growling like angry lions. Nkechi and Adanna grumbled often. Obiora, when will we ever live in a proper house? They would whine. Look at our neighbors. They eat meat every day. Mama Obiora would sigh and pat Obiora's hand. My son, do not worry. The sun does not forget a village because it shines in the city first. One day our blessings will come. But Obiora wondered, when? Then one hot afternoon, as he wiped sweat from his brow, a voice called out to him, Young man, help me carry these bags. Obiora turned and saw a woman glowing like morning sunlight. Her name was Ife, and though her clothes were simple, she carried herself like royalty. Her smile was warm as freshly made pounded fufu, and her eyes sparkled with kindness. Something about Ife felt different, like luck itself had walked into Obiora's life. Of course, madam. Obiora rushed to lift her heavy basket of fabric into his wheelbarrow. As they walked to Ife's shop, she asked about his life. For the first time, Obiora didn't feel ashamed to share his struggles. Ife listened intently, then said words that would change his fate. Hard work, mixed with a good heart, always brings blessings, Obiora. Just wait. Yours is coming. And she was right. The following week, Obiora's usual customers suddenly needed twice the deliveries. Then, Mama Ngozi's son offered him a loan to buy a second-hand wheelbarrow. Pay me back little by little, he said. Soon, Obiora owned 5 wheelbarrows. He rented them out to other struggling young men, becoming Oga Wheelbarrow in the market. But Ife's magic didn't stop there. One evening, as Obiora counted his savings under a kerosene lamp, Ife appeared shockingly. My neighbor is selling his old taxi very cheap. With your savings, you could buy it. Obiora's hands trembled as he handed over the money. The car coughed and sputtered, but it was a golden chariot to him. By sunrise, Obiora became driver Obi, honking through Aba's streets. Passengers loved his honesty, and money flowed like the river Niger in rainy season. Yet, through it all, Obiora noticed something strange. Every good thing happened after he saw Ife. Was she luck, or was there more to this woman with the moonlight smile? One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, Obiora took Ife's hand and led her to the old mango tree behind his compound, the same tree where they had shared their first real conversation years ago. Ife, he began, his voice unsteady. Do you remember when you told me, goodness brings more goodness? She smiled, her eyes twinkling. How could I forget? Look at you now, Oga Obiora, the wheelbarrow king. He knelt in the soft earth, pulling out a small velvet pouch. Inside was a simple gold band, not extravagant, but bought with his first real profit. You were my first blessing. Will you be my last, Ife? Marry me. Tears welled in her eyes as she tucked him up. Stand up, foolish man. The ants will bite your knees, laughing. She kissed him. Yes, 1,000 times yes. They married at dawn in Ife's village beneath the ancient Udala tree, where she played as a child. Only the earth, the river, and a handful of true friends witnessed their joy. No fanfare, no pretenses, just love, pure and quiet. After the marriage, Obiora and Ife returned back to Aba. One rainy evening, as thunder rumbled over Abia State, Obiora picked up his last passenger at the airport. A wealthy chief in a crisp white agbada, smelling of expensive perfume. The man clutched a black leather bag tightly as he backed direction to the Royal Hotel. When they arrived, the chief paid hurriedly and disappeared into the glowing hotel lobby, leaving the black leather bag behind. Back home, as Obiora washed his car, he discovered the bag. His heart stopped when he peeked inside. Bundles of naira notes, more money than he's ever seen before. Chimo, my God, he screamed, imagining the houses, cars, and riches this could bring. But Ife, stirring a pot of egusi soup nearby, saw his trembling hands. What troubles you, my husband? When Obiora showed her the bag, her face grew serious. This money isn't yours. Return it tomorrow. Goodness brings more goodness. But if it is good, would you want someone to keep your money if you forgot it? Her eyes held that strange light again, like stars dancing in a midnight sky. The next morning, Obiora drove to the Royal Hotel. His stomach in knots, the chief was weeping in the lobby, surrounded by angry men. Oga, your bag, Obiora called out. The chief's head snapped up. He tore open the bag. Everything was intact. You returned the whole thing? The chief trembled. This money was for my daughter's hospital bill abroad. If lost, she would have died. Tears streamed down his face as he grabbed Obiora's shoulders. Name your reward. Before Obiora could speak, the chief handed him keys to a shiny new car and a fat envelope. Take this. Your honesty saved a life. 3 months later, Obiora and Ife hosted a grand celebration in Aba, a feast to thank all who had supported their journey. The city buzzed with excitement. Drummers pounded ekwe rhythms that shook the streets. Dancers twirled in coral-beaded regalia, and even the governor appeared, toasting to their love. But as the last guest departed, the gates creaked open one final time. Mama Obi, Nkechi and Adanna stood there, their dusty village bags clutched tight. Their eyes widened as they observed the grandeur of the mansion. Nkechi's fingers gently touched the silk curtains. Adanna admired the golden cutlery with appreciation. Mama Obi's silence was palpable. "Nwannem, you live like a king," Nkechi said, hugging Obiora tightly. "And this must be your little wife." Her eyes scanned Ife's simple linen dress. At dinner, Adanna spilled palm wine on Ife's dress. "Oops, not used to fine things. Are you?" Nkechi hid Ife's wedding beads, leading her to search for them. And Mama Obi did not eat from any plate Ife touched, pushing the food away. "Brother," Adanna whispered clearly as Ife served dessert. "There are often concerns that sudden wealth can be attributed to juju. Are you certain she didn't manipulate you?" Obiora laughed very uneasy. "Don't be foolish." "Then why no child yet?" Nkechi interrupted. "Real wives swell within a year." That night, Obiora found Ife weeping in the kitchen, her hands trembling as she scrubbed wine stains from her dress. "They will leave soon," he promised, hugging her tightly. But the sisters spread their mat in the parlor, unpacked their bags, and Mama Obi placed her walking stick by the door, the Igbo sign of a permanent residence. As fireflies flickered outside, Ife's tears fell into the wash basin. "They will never go, and they will never accept me." Obiora wiped her cheeks, but his fingers hesitated. Somewhere deep down, their poisonous words has taken root. The golden house that turned bitter. Obiora and Ife's new life in their two-story white mansion should have been perfect. The house stood proudly on Victoria Road, its polished windows glittering under the Aba sun. Servants swept the marble floors daily, and the scent of Ife's fresh palm nut soup filled every room. But when Mama Obi and the sisters arrived from the village, they brought dark cloud. First, it was small things. Nkechi will accidentally spill pepper soup on Ife's favorite lace wrapper. Adanna hid Ife's jewelry, then laughed when she tore the house apart searching. Mama Obi refused to eat any food Ife cooked, claiming it tasted like betrayal. Then came the whispers. "She's not even from a good family," Nkechi hissed one evening as Ife passed. "Real wives bear children in their first year," Mama Obi muttered, pointing to Obiora. The worst came on Obiora's birthday. Ife had prepared pounded yam and 5 different soups. As she bent to serve Mama Obi, the old woman grabbed her wrist, so tight it left marks. "Listen well, stranger." Mama Obi's voice was venom-wrapped in sweetness. "My son was fine before you. We know what you are." That night, Obiora found Ife crying in the garden, her arms wrapped around herself like broken wings. "They want me gone," she whispered. "Your mother says I am a witch who used charm to trap you." Obiora laughed it off. "Don't mind their village talk. You are my golden blessing." He kissed her forehead, but didn't see how much his mother's words has planted thorns in Ife's heart. The household became a war zone. Ife's favorite hen mysteriously died. Her clothes kept disappearing from the line. The sisters held loud meeting from which Ife was excluded. One afternoon, Obiora came home early to find his mother on Ife's favorite chair, wearing her wedding beads. "Mama, those are Ife's." And Mama Obi's smile didn't reach her eyes. A real daughter-in-law would offer them to her husband's mother first. That night, for the first time, Obiora and Ife slept back to back, the space between them as wide as the river Niger. The day the sun stopped shining, it began as an ordinary Wednesday when Obiora kissed Ife goodbye for his business trip to Port Harcourt. But the moment his car disappeared down the dusty road, the house turned into a den of wolves. Mama Obi called a family meeting in the parlor, the same room where Ife's wedding photos smiled from the walls. "Today is the day we take back what is ours," Mama Obi declared, her voice thick with hate. Nkechi grinned as she pulled out Ife's travel bag, which was already packed. The attack came swiftly. Adanna snatched the keys to Ife's new Toyota Corolla. Nkechi ripped the golden necklace from her neck. "This belongs to Obiora's real family." Mama Obi spat bitter cola on the floor at Ife's feet. "Leave before we make you leave." Ife stood frozen in the doorway, clutching only her wrapper. "But this is my home," she whispered. Mama Obi's slap echoed through the compound. "Your home? You think we don't know about your witchcraft? The way our son prospered only after meeting you." The final cruelty. Nkechi threw Ife's bag into the muddy gutter outside. Adanna locked the iron gates. From behind the bars, Mama Obi delivered her final blow. "If you ever come back, we will tell the world you are a husband snatcher who sleeps with native doctors. Now, go." Ife's feet moved without feeling. She walked past the neighbors who peeked through the curtains but didn't intervene. Walked until her slippers broke, and walked until the rains came to hide her tears. That evening, Obiora returned to an eerily quiet house. His sisters sat waiting like vultures. "Brother, prepare your heart," Nkechi began. "Crocodile tears ready. Ife has left you. She took all her things and even stole from your safe." Adanna produced proof. Ife's favorite scarf, deliberately stained with engine oil. "She said you are a fool who fell for her tricks." Mama Obi placed a cold hand on her son's shoulder. "My child, better to know now than when she has taken everything." The lies worked. Obiora stormed into their bedroom, saw the empty wardrobe, the missing car keys. His roar of pain shook the windows. That night, he drank himself to sleep in what used to be Ife's favorite chair, never noticing her framed photo face down in the trash. The Great Unraveling. 1 month after Ife's departure, Obiora's world began to crumble like dry clay in the harmattan wind. First, the taxis died. His newest Corolla engine seized on the Enugu highway. No mechanic could explain why. The second car's brake failed mysteriously at a red light. The third refused to start, as if the metal itself has given up. Then the wheelbarrow empire collapsed. The market boys returned his rented wheelbarrows, broken beyond repair. Thieves stole his entire stock one moonless night, and the bank called his loans were due. The final humiliation came at dawn, when debt collectors stormed his house, dragging out his furniture as neighbors watched. Mama Obi wailed as they took her prized mattress. Nkechi and Adanna screamed curses, but not at the collectors, but at Obi. "Useless man, you drove away the golden goose," Adanna shrieked. "Go bring back your wife before we all starve." The revelation. The broken Obiora crawled to Pastor Chukwu Mountain Prayer House. The old man took one look at his shaking hands and sighed. "My son, you have been blind." The pastor, after praying, said to Obi, "Ife's soul was pure as morning dew. Her footsteps attracted blessings like bees to honey. But your family..." The pastor's eyes darkened. "They poured evil in your ears until you rejected your prosperity." Obiora's tears made muddy tracks in the dust. "What can I do?" Pastor Chukwu heaved a sigh. "Find that woman on your knees if necessary. Cast out the vipers in your house. Pray her heart is softer than your foolishness." Then came the terrifying warning. "If she refuses you," the pastor's voice dropped to a whisper, "even rats will flee your crumbling walls." That same hour, Obiora gathered 4 close friends and drove through the night. Some say his Mercedes wept oil tears to Ife's village. The road to redemption. The journey to Umuaka village felt like 40 years in the wilderness. Obiora's once proud Mercedes coughed and sputtered through the red dirt roads, as if ashamed of its master's mission. His 4 friends, once loud with laughter, sat in heavy silence, their heads bowed under the weight of what was to come. The entire village gathered when the car finally stopped before Ife's family compound. Children stopped playing games. Women drying cassava paused their work. The air itself seemed to hold his breath. Obiora stepped out, and his legs gave way. He went on his knees in the red dust. He crawled like a beggar towards Ife's mother, Mama Ife, who stood frozen in the doorway. "Nne, I have come for my wife." His voice broke like a child's. Mama Ife's wooden spoon clattered to the ground. "Wife? What wife?" "My daughter has been here weeping for a month. You threw her away like yam peelings." The truth struck like a thunderbolt, and the villagers murmured. Ife appeared in the doorway, her once radiant face now thin. Her wrapper faded, but her eyes, those luminous eyes, still held their quiet power. Obiora's friends prostrated fully in the dirt, their foreheads touching the earth in the ultimate Igbo plea for mercy. Ife, Obiora's tears made patterns in the dust. "I was a fool, blinded by family ties. The ancestors have punished me. My cars are dead. My money is dust." But worst of all, his voice dropped to a whisper. "My heart stopped beating the day I lost you." A murmur ran through the villagers. Everyone nodded. Ife's hands trembled as memories flashed. Mama Ife made a sudden move. She grabbed a broom. "You think tears can wash away pain? You let them call my child a witch." She raised the broom like a weapon, but Ife's hand stopped her mid-swing. A single ray of sunlight broke through the mango tree, lightening Ife's face as she stepped forward. Her bare feet touched Obiora's kneeling knee. "Stand up, husband," she whispered. "The sun must not see an Igbo man groveling." As Obiora stood up, a child shouted. A rainbow appeared. The villagers buzzed with chatter. This was a divine sign. The restoration. That very evening, Obiora's phone rang. His faulty cars has inexplicably started working. A text came. The bank approved the loan for restructuring. Market women arrived, asking to rent his wheelbarrows again. But the greatest miracle, Ife's smile returned. As she packed her belongings, her mother blessing their reunion with tears. The fall of the wicked. When Obiora returned to Aba with Ife by his side, he found his mother and sisters huddled in the compound like frightened mice. The once proud women now wore tattered wrappers, their eyes hollow from hunger. Out! Obiora's voice shook the walls as he pointed to the gate. You called my wife a witch. Now see what your evil tongues have brought. Mama Obi fell to her knees, her voice cracking. My son, we were... Silence! Obiora threw open the door. The pastor said, You are real vipers. Leave before I forget you are my blood. As the wailing women dragged their boxes into the street, the neighbors who once envied them now laughed behind their backs. 3 hungry moons later, they came crawling to Ife's doorsteps. Nkechi's once round face now sunken. Adanna's prized wigs were swapped for scraps. Mama Obi's finest wrappers were sold for crumbs. The women who had called her a witch now trembled like starving dogs at her feet. Mama Obi clutched Ife's ankles, her cracked lips trembling. Mwam, my daughter, this foolish mother begs. Ife's heart ached at their pitiful state. Mama, get up, she whispered, lifting the old woman's bony frame. No mother should kneel before her child. She brought steaming plates of pounded yam and egusi soup. They fell upon the food like lions upon a prey, hands shaking as they shoved fistful into hungry mouths. Yet Ife showed only kindness. She carefully fed Mama Obi, offering small portions to lips that had previously cursed her. Gifted Nkechi a new blue wrapper identical to the one she ruined in spite. She let Adanna take the first sip from her cup, the ultimate test of trust. When Adanna tasted no poison, only the rich flavor of forgiveness, she broke into heaving sobs. Mama Obi's well shook the whole compound. We called you a witch when you were only our blessing all along. Obiora watched from the doorway, humbled by his wife's mercy. As if he wipes Mama Obi's tears with the edge of her wrapper, he understood. True strength lies not in vengeance, but in the power to forgive. And a kind heart brings blessings, but greed and wickedness brings ruin. Always cherish and protect the ones who truly loves you.